Hi, I'm Michaela Hetzler. We are here today on our way to Gifts to Give in New Bedford. We have about at least 80 kids heading over there to help out and give on MLK Day.
Head of the inauguration committee.
In that spirit of faith, I would now like to introduce civil rights leader Merle Evers, who is committed her life to extending the promise of our nation's founding principles.
I thought she was saying hi. What?
Okay, hi Fall River. Welcome to Gifts to Give. I'm Wendy. So we're going to go directly to the ceremony and lunch, and then afterwards you're going to have to come back to the front room. If your name was already registered on the website by your chaperone, then you're going to go to one place. If you haven't already been registered by your chaperone, you go to the front tables, and we'll figure it all out after lunch. So come on in, and I hope you guys do a lot of good work today, because we certainly need you. Right through the doors. Follow Elizabeth.
What's going to happen and where you're going to go from here. Just let me first congratulate you for coming. This is going to be an awesome day, and I hope the start of your year of service and volunteerism. So I'm going to ask you to be a little bit patient while we get started, because you've actually come at the perfect time. At 12 o'clock, we're going to do a little presentation that we hope you enjoy, that's going to connect up the thoughts of Martin Luther King with service. After that, we'll have a little refreshment for you right after that, and then we're going to get you started. We're going to have you go on an orientation of the mill, and then you'll be put in a station where we need you to get to. Right now, we're glad you're here. You can relax. Don't feel anxious. This is a day of service. It's a day to build community, and we got you covered, okay? Thanks.
Good morning. Can I have your attention, please? So we're really grateful to see you. My name is Jim Stevens, and I work at Gifts to Give. I want to first of all welcome you, and without further ado, because we've got a pizza lunch coming, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. This gentleman is one of our earliest adopters. He's a local businessman. He's in the pizza business. He owns the Domino's franchises, and he's the one that's supplying our lunch. I'd like to introduce you to Nelson Hockertlotz.
Good morning. Good morning. What? You know, I want to say just a couple words about why I'm here today, and to speak directly to the young people who are here today. And the reason is, when I see the young people here today trying to make a difference for other young people, this is what changes the world. But we don't always see the world in the progress of change. And so I met a young man here today who was 13 or 14, and I think about where I was at his point in my life. And my mother was a great admirer of Dr. King's. And Dr. King was somebody who was very real in my life, in our household. But more than that, I had both the misfortune and the good fortune to have a middle-class upbringing that came crashing to a halt. So that by the time I was 13, I was living on welfare in a biracial family, struggling to pay the rent in a place where we didn't know what our future was. And in a time like that, it is very easy to let fear steer you away from your future. And today, when Barack Obama has placed his hands upon the Bible of Abraham and Martin, he will be fulfilling a piece of that dream, a piece of that prophecy for America. And all of us here today must recognize that we owe a debt not just to Dr. King, but to 250,000 ordinary Americans who came to Washington to march for justice, to demand a better nation, to challenge America to be what it said it already was, a land of liberty, where freedom could ring from every mountaintop. And we are here today because we know we cannot honor Abraham and Martin with our voices alone. To praise a man with words is a thin praise. We know that Dr. King, were he here today as a man as he is in spirit, would remind us that every day there is work to be done. Thank you all for being here.
I spoke at a suburban high school within 10 miles of this mill to 850 kids in a high school, and only 25% knew who Martin Luther King was. So what I'd like to do is run an 8-minute video and just give us all some context.
He thrived at a segregated high school, graduating at 15, before heading off to Morehouse College. He then dedicated 3 years to theological study at Crozier Seminary in Pennsylvania. While earning his graduate degree at Boston University, he met Coretta Scott, who he would marry and have 4 children with.
I want to say tonight that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed and ended segregation in interstate travel, if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they are going somewhere, because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been here in 1963.
I just want to make a reference. The story, when he talks about sneezing, a deranged woman in New York City stabbed him in the chest with a 5-inch letter opener and nicked the aorta of his heart. And he almost died. And in the emergency room, the doctor said to him, had you coughed or sneezed, you would have died. So that's the reference to that 9th grade girl writing that letter to Dr. King. I'd like to introduce a most remarkable woman. She's the president of the New Bedford Historical Society and the director of the Campus Compact at UMass-Dartmouth, Lee Blake. Lee?
Thank you for all of you for being here. Dr. Grossman, thank you. Some of my staff and friends from UMass, Deirdre Healy, who works here often, Matt Roy, and Nelson Hockett-Lotz, who we've done work together. I'm honored to be here with you today, and I want to thank you for your efforts today, but I know many of you come back and forth and spend time here at Gifts to Give. The King Monument is a very visible vindication of his life and of the struggles many of us experienced during the modern civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. That's the era that sharpened my political consciousness and where I gained my personal sense of social justice. I remember those times very well, watching television, watching dogs attack students. Some of my friends were involved in the sit-in movements down south, and some of those people live here in New Bedford, and we celebrate their sacrifice for our rights on many occasions. The 50th anniversary of the modern civil rights movement and the second inauguration of President Obama. That's all happening now. This is a very historic moment. What an honor to be able to be here in this day and age and experience the enormous changes that our ancestors worked so hard to achieve over 150 years ago. Martin Luther King said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." In 2013, with the second inauguration of President Barack Obama, we can see the culmination of 150 years of struggle and the continued moral evolution of our country towards justice for all. Many of us understand that there is still work to be done to achieve a just society where we are judged by the content of our character and not by the color of our skin, our gender, or our sexuality. All a part of the vision of a just society that Dr. King advocated for and worked for. Dr. King refused to believe that there were insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So Dr. King would recognize that progress has been made, but he would not be dancing, he would be organizing. Change, he taught, does not roll in the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. And I hope all of you will join and continue. The struggle continues. Thank you.
You to think about looking to do more volunteering and go to southcoastserves.org. And the woman that runs that group is Deidre Healy. Deidre?
Thank you, Jim. Can we give it up one more time for Lee Blake? Lee is an incredible asset to our community. We are so lucky to have her with us, so thanks again, Lee. Jim mentioned that I work at the LeDuc Center for Civic Engagement, and there I have the pleasure of facilitating the South Coast Serves organization, and I hope you all saw our table over there. And South Coast Serves believes that through service and volunteerism, we can build community and we can make our community a better place, just like you're doing today. So we hope you come by the table. But what I want to do now is ask our Chancellor, the Chancellor of UMass-Dartmouth, Dr. Divina Grossman, to come up and join me for a moment. And she's going to help me recognize someone very special. Allie actually took the pledge last year, and she completed it. I think she completed it in November, right, Allie? So good job, Allie. Thank you very much. And I think you should know she's already committed to do 60 hours this year.
I enjoy doing my service. I love helping people, and I feel like everyone should help other people for everything that everyone has.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you very much. And guess what? It's going to help you go to college, too.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning with all of you. And I know there are many places and there are many things you could have done this morning, right? Other than here, you could have gone to the park, the movies, you could have hung out with your friends, but you're here. So I would like to thank you, Jim, and your staff and your board members for the incredible work that takes place here in Gifts to Give. And frankly, I think those of you that know the organization better than I do know that Jim and his staff are gifts to give with the work that they're doing here selflessly. And I'd like to thank my colleagues at the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, Dr. Lee Blake, Dr. Matt Roy, who is the director of the LeDuc Center for Civic Engagement, Deirdre Healy, there's Matt, and all of you who are here this morning on your holiday to be here to provide service. And I think Nelson knows, Nelson in his generosity knows that not only does this work feed your soul, but he also knows that your bodies have to be fed, which is why he's been generously donating pizza, which is also a tremendous gift to all of you and to all of us.
This year is the sesquicentennial of the Emancipation Proclamation. But what I find remarkable is the year before that, 2012, was also the sesquicentennial, or the 150th anniversary of the Morrill Land Grant Act that established land grant in public universities. That was also signed by President Abraham Lincoln. Because as Frederick Douglass said, there can be no freedom without education. So I do agree with Lee that these milestones are quite historic. And in fact, that is the lesson that Martin Luther King spoke about when he spoke about education as building both intelligence and character. I hope that is the ethos that we continue not just today, but through the next few months and this entire year. Thank you to all of you, and thank you to Jim and his staff for including me in the program this morning.
Over 540 people will have volunteered today. Oh, here's our mystery guest. I'd like to introduce you to the Mayor of New Bedford, John Mitchell.
Thank you, everybody. The President talked a lot about the need for us not to solve every problem in the future, but the ones that confront us right now. And the only way to do that is for us to step up together, one by one, each in our own way, and offer a little bit of ourselves. Now, we can solve our problems, we can make our society a better place. We all buy into the idea that we all have a role to play in it. Now, Dr. King, it's especially fitting that we had this inauguration on Martin Luther King Day. I especially want to thank Jim Stevens and Gifts to Give for making this day, this opportunity, a great tradition in our city. This is something that Jim has done year in, year out, and we're so grateful, Jim, that you make this opportunity happen for all of us, because in the long run, we'll be a better city for it. If everyone decides to volunteer, if everybody commits themselves just to a little bit more than what they're doing right now, we'll all be better off as a community and live richer lives. Happy Martin Luther King Day, and let's continue to work not only today, but every day in our community to make it a better place. Thank you very much, everybody.
Please take 10 minutes and have a slice of pizza, and we'll get back to work. Thank you all very much.
Gets 25,000 pounds of donations a week, and it's all sorted here and repurposed for families in need. This is the stuffy section, and in this section there's actually a blind gentleman who sorts these stuffed animals and feels to make sure that they have 2 eyes, 2 arms, and 2 legs, and that there aren't any sharp objects to hurt the children. And then he bags them and puts them in the freezer right over there to make sure there isn't anything tagging along when we give those toys to the kids.
Great piece.
I read my niece.
Never heard of it, but it sounds...
Oh, look. Great job.
If you are able to help in the coat section,
Try to sneak in the camera, please. Thank you.
yeah.
You have to go to these boxes here by what you have on front.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to go and get a station leader to show you specifically what to do.
Okay.
Need to be sorted, and then the rest of the coats and all the bins need to be sorted out. So you want to take this, and then you want to look at the size of it. You want to tell if it's male or female. Look at the size, and then you're going to put it in the bin. All the bins, girls are on the side, guys are on the side. All the bins have like how old they are. So you're just going to sort them in the bin that you think they go in. And then like coats like this are obviously like a big adult. So you're going to put it on a hanger at the end of the line down there.